Welcome back to Greek mythology. In the last episode, we saw the marriage of Zeus and Hera and how it produced their first children, Ares, Hebe, and Elite. In this episode, we'll see how Zeus and his brothers, Hades and Poseidon, divide up the world. If you're new here, then hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. After the Titanomachy, the great war between the Titans and the gods, Zeus and his siblings were in control of everything. The earth was theirs. The sky was theirs. Hell itself was theirs. However, they hadn't really divided up their territories yet. So, in this episode, we're gonna see how they do just that. But before we get into all of that, there is another bit of housekeeping that needs to be addressed. You see, when Cronus castrated his father Uranus, he threw the severed genitals into the sea. And from the blood that mixed with sea foam, Aphrodite was born. And because she was born from the genitals of Uranus, she was a Titan goddess. But at the same time, she was also the daughter of Cronus. So now the Olympians controlled all three major categories of deities. They had the Titans and the elder gods under their control. However, they didn't have the giants yet. The giants would actually come later after Gaia. The earth took pity on the giants and made them immortal. But that story will have to wait for another day. So now that the major deities were accounted for, it was time to divide up the world. So Zeus called a meeting with his siblings. All three brothers showed up: Hades, Poseidon, and Zeus. But there was one notable absence: Hera. Now, some sources say that Hera wasn't invited, while others say that she simply refused to come. Either way, though, she wasn't present at the meeting. This will become important later. Now, if you've heard about the Greek gods before, then you already know that Zeus controls the sky, Hades controls hell, and Poseidon controls the sea. But at this moment, that wasn't necessarily the case. They were simply dividing up the world among themselves. The order of Olympus was not set in stone yet. The three brothers stood on a plain and they looked out over all of creation. Before they could decide who would take what, though, they needed to establish one thing: none of them could claim any of the earth. That was reserved for the humans. The reason for this was because the earth was their mother. Gaia was one of the primordial deities, the oldest of all. And like the other primordials, she was simply too powerful for the gods to mess with. I mean, sure, Zeus did shack up with a few of her daughters, but that's beside the point. The fact was that Gaia herself was completely off limits. She couldn't be conquered, she couldn't be dominated, and she couldn't be killed. So it went without saying that none of the brothers would try to claim the earth. So now the only things left to divide were heaven and hell. These were the two places that were ruled by the Titans before the war, and they were more than happy to give those up. But before they could divide those two realms, the brothers got into a huge disagreement. Each one thought that he deserved both of them. Zeus said that he was the strongest, so he should get both heaven and hell. Hades said that since he had received no gifts, he should at least get hell. And Poseidon said that because he was the most cunning, he deserved both heaven and hell. This argument continued for hours, and it was getting pretty ugly. Just as it seemed like it might turn into a fist fight, though, the three brothers stopped. They calmed down, and they decided to play it safe. So instead of fighting each other or giving up their claim to heaven or hell, they decided to call in an outsider to decide for them. They sent a messenger to their great-grandfather, the Titan Oceanus, and they asked him to judge their argument. Oceanus listened to all sides of the story, and then he came up with a solution. He told them that none of them would receive heaven or hell. Instead, they would each receive something much better. He gave Zeus control of the sky, gave Poseidon control of the sea, and gave Hades control of the dead. Hades, of course, was unhappy with this, because he would have preferred hell over the dead. But Zeus was happy, and Poseidon was happy, and that's all that mattered. Oceanus then left the decision up to the gods, and the gods agreed to it. So right before our eyes, the three brothers took their positions. Zeus ascended to the top of Olympus, where he was joined by Hera and their children. Poseidon took his trident and plunged it into the sea. The moment that he did that, the ocean roared and the waves crashed. It was obvious that Poseidon was master of the sea. Then Hades took his helm of darkness and disappeared into the underworld. When he came back up, he was holding a flaming torch. He lit up the underworld with it, and then vanished. With that, the division of the world was complete. And from that day forward, the three brothers ruled supreme. Zeus was the king of the gods. Poseidon was the earth-shaker, and Hades was the rich god, because those who died always brought him gifts. Each brother had power over 1/3 of the world. Only Gaia remained independent. No god could touch her. But that didn't mean that the humans couldn't. In fact, the very first thing that happened after the division of the world was the birth of the first human, Prometheus. Prometheus was a titan, the son of Iapetus, but he sided with the gods during the Zeus rewarded him for his loyalty by giving him humanity's first priest, the honor of sacrificing the first sacrifice to the gods. And it was during this sacrifice that Prometheus stole fire from Olympus and gave it to humanity. This angered Zeus, and he chained Prometheus to a nearby mountain as punishment. Each day, an eagle would come and eat his liver, and each night his liver would grow back only to be eaten again the next day. Now, some of you may be wondering why Zeus punished Prometheus so harshly, especially since he was a titan. Remember, the Titans weren't necessarily evil. In fact, many of them, like Prometheus, were good. The reason Zeus punished Prometheus so harshly was because he went against the order of Olympus. Back in those days, the gods often interacted with humanity, and it was expected that the humans would show them respect. But after the division of the world, that all changed. Humans were supposed to worship the gods, but they were no longer supposed to interact with them. Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades were supposed to rule over their portions of the world, but they were no longer supposed to rule over humanity. Prometheus broke this order, and he did it in such a brazen manner that Zeus felt compelled to punish him. Another thing that happened during this time was the Gigantomachy, the war between the gods and the giants. The giants were huge, strong monsters. Some were as tall as mountains and as wide as valleys. They were immortal, so the gods were having trouble defeating them. After several years of fighting, though, the gods finally won. But they didn't win without help. During the war, Zeus took his sister, the goddess Demeter, and his nephew, the hero Heracles, and together they traveled across the earth searching for the beautiful giantess Alcyone. Zeus wanted Alcyone to be his wife, but she was already married to the giant Ophion. So Zeus killed Ophion, took Alcyone to Olympus, and made her his queen. This made Hera furious. She hated Demeter for helping Zeus, and she hated Alcyone for leaving her husband to die. So she punished both of them. She drove Demeter insane and turned Alcyone into an eagle. Okay, that's all for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to hit that subscribe button. If you want to keep watching, then click the link in the description for more Greek mythology. And if you want to support the channel even further, then become a patron. There's a link to that in the description as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching.